Hi, I wanted to show you how I repaired this drywall without needing to replace it. So I used this stuff called FibaTape. This was the 6" by 75 foot. I got it at Home Depot. It was like 14 bucks. You can get another brand called Red Devil from Amazon. That's a little bit cheaper for like $9.59 is what Amazon says. So I'll put links to both in the description. But the kind of the story with this was I had a short period of time to get all of this work done. I kind of did it backwards. I put the shower in first and the floor tile in. Um, I had a short period of time to get the workers over there and do what I needed to do, and I put off this drywall work because the backstory. So this wall that I'm working on right now was covered in tile up to where the line is, and it was put in the 60s. The tile guy said it was like, I think he said it was called ported sand or something like that, which was the type of drywall adhesive. Well, eventually it had essentially disintegrated and turned to a powder over the years, and there was some mold behind there, and it was pretty awful. And I just didn't, it wasn't in the budget or the time. And how I did things, I did it backwards. I probably should have just replaced that drywall, but I didn't. So it is what it is, and I had to repair it. And I this is what I came up with from watching some YouTube videos, was to get some of this FibaTape, and it has worked very well looking back in retrospect. I mean, it's got a slight adhesive on one side, so you just stick it to the wall like it did, and I used a drywall knife to kind of just make sure it was smoothed out, and you go over all of the areas where the paper had been torn off. And the reason that paper was coming off is because as I was taking the tile off, it was creating dust, and like I said, there was a little bit of mold behind there, so I was spraying vinegar to keep the dust down as well as to kill those mold spores. And that it just caused that paper to basically come off. Like if you've ever used, it's the same, you use the same technique to get wallpaper off, things like that. And so that's what happened. So that's just what I'm going over right now, is just the gypsum board without the paper on top of it. And you need to have that, it's like it keeps it strong, essentially. Eventually that drywall, just being in a bathroom like that, would crack and crumble. So this FibaTape is honestly going to be stronger than the paper was prior to that. So overall it's been it's better than it was even before. Okay, so here's where I start mudding it. I'm just using I think it's an 8" knife. You probably use, I think I did end up using a bigger one for the finish coat, But I'm just putting a very thin layer just to cover up the lines from the FibaTape and any inconsistencies. Doesn't have to be super perfect. I mean, obviously you want it to be as smooth as possible, but I ended up putting texture over this, just a can of spray texture from Home Depot. I'll put a link to that in the description as well. So you'll have everything you need to get your wall fixed if you're having to do this like I did. You want to make sure that your wall is really smooth before you start putting your drywall mud on there. As you can see, I'm kind of hammering in or getting rid of nails. I'd preferred to hammer them in because pulling them out it was damaging the drywall even more, just pulling chunks out. So I just hammered them in, and it would just add a little bit more stability to the whole wall itself. But those nails were holding up the screen mesh, which was what the tile was originally attached to. Alright, this is how it kind of turned out. It's still drying, but I'm super happy. So what I did is just put that FibaTape down and then skim coated it. I still have to take the wallpaper off, but the drywall is probably stronger than it ever was even. Yeah, cool. This is how it looks all finished.